All right, let's dive into one of the deepest puzzles in all of science, the measurement problem. That bizarre question of why reality seems to wait for us to look at it before it picks a state.
But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the problem isn't out there in the cosmos, but in here, in how we perceive everything? That's the huge idea we're going to unpack today, a whole new way of framing this debate. So, first things first, let's get on the same page about what this quantum puzzle actually is.
Okay, so here's the deal. Quantum mechanics tells us that before we measure it, a tiny particle like an electron is in a sort of cloud of possibilities. It's in many places at once in what they call a superposition. But the very instant we look, boom, it's in one definite spot. The question that has haunted physicists is why? What makes it jump from all those possibilities to just one single reality? Now, people have come up with some wild ideas to explain this. Collapsing waves, even branching into parallel universes. But the perspective we're looking at today takes a completely different turn. It's a really profound answer. The central idea is this. What if reality isn't just one thing, but actually has two very distinct layers? On one hand, you have true reality, which is this single, indivisible whole. And on the other, you've got our human perspective, which is the world we see, a world that we create by making distinctions. The mind-blowing part of this idea is that the measurement problem doesn't even exist in true reality. It's an illusion created entirely by our own perspective. So let's talk about true reality. Try to picture the entire universe as one single unbroken object. In this fundamental layer, there aren't any separate parts. There's no this over here and that over there. There's no difference between you, the particle you're studying, or the tool you're using to measure it. It's all just one. So, where does our familiar world come from? Well, that's layer 2, the human perspective. It pops into existence the moment we make a distinction. The moment our mind says, okay, this is the measuring device and that is the electron. By drawing these lines in the sand, we carve up reality into separate objects, and suddenly, those objects seem to follow the wonderfully weird rules of quantum mechanics. Let's dig into that a little more. This human perspective, the layer of reality where we all live and breathe and do science. This brings us right to the critical question, right? If true reality is this unified whole, how on earth does our divided way of seeing things actually create the very problem we're so desperate to solve? And here it is, the big reveal. The measurement problem isn't a problem with reality at all. It is a direct result of us trying to look at a perfectly unified whole through a lens of division. It's not a bug, it's a feature of our perspective. The source material just nails it. The whole issue comes from, and I'm quoting here, the human perspective that tries to explain reality with distinctions where in reality there are no distinctions. We're essentially trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, forcing a divided story onto an undivided reality. So what we have is this fundamental clash, this tension between the universe's true unity and our divided point of view. I mean, think about it for a second. The very act of doing science forces us to do this. To learn anything about the universe, we have to build a tool, an instrument, that is, by definition, separate from the thing it's supposed to be measuring. The scientific method itself is built on this foundation of creating a division. So you can see this chain reaction, right? First, we decide we want to measure something. That simple act creates a distinction between the observer and the observed. And in that very moment of separation, the unified reality has no choice but to appear to us as just a bunch of probabilities. This could be the deep reason why quantum mechanics is all about probabilities. It can't give us certainties because we're only ever seeing a small, broken piece of a complete, certain whole. It's kind of like trying to understand the entire ocean by looking at a single drop of water. You'll know what it's made of, sure, but you'll totally miss the bigger picture. So it really boils down to this. If you could see from the perspective of unity, you'd get the complete, unified picture. But from our everyday perspective of division, where we slice and dice reality into little pieces, the only possible outcome is the probabilistic quantum world we see in our experiments.
Now let's be absolutely clear about something. Nobody is arguing with the results of quantum experiments. These are some of the most precisely confirmed results in the history of science. This isn't about the data. It's all about the philosophical glasses we wear when we try to interpret what that data is actually telling us about reality itself.
And that leaves us with one last,
truly mind-bending thought to chew on.
So here's the question. Are we just passive observers discovering a reality that was already there? Or are we active participants, actually co-creating the world we perceive every single time we decide to take a measurement? The answer? Well, it could change everything.